I went on a camping trip with my family of 5, and only 3 of us came back. I was 12 years old. My parents loved the outdoors, so they planned this trip deep in the wilderness of Arizona, a place where the stars were so bright it felt like they were watching you. But that trip was the last time I ever saw them alive. My dad drove our old station wagon out to a remote campsite. It was just me, my little brother Max, my baby sister Clara, and Mom and Dad. We set up camp in a clearing surrounded by tall pines. It should have been perfect. Dad told ghost stories by the fire, and Max laughed too loud at every one of them. Mum tucked Clara into her sleeping bag early and kissed her forehead. I remember thinking how happy we looked, a perfect family. That first night, though, something didn't feel right. Around midnight, I woke up to the sound of rustling outside the tent. At first, I thought it was the wind, or maybe an animal, but it didn't stop. It circled the tent, slow and deliberate, like it was testing us. "Did you hear that?" I whispered to Mum, shaking her awake. She brushed it off, saying it was probably a raccoon, but I wasn't so sure. The next morning, Dad found strange tracks in the dirt around our campsite. They looked like human footprints, but too large and wrong. The toes were elongated, almost claw-like, and they sunk deep into the earth, as if whoever or whatever made them weighed far more than any person should. Dad tried to joke it off, but I saw the tension in his jaw. He decided we'd stay close to camp that day, no hiking or exploring. I think he knew something was off, but he didn't want to scare us. That night, everything fell apart. I woke to Clara screaming. I scrambled out of my sleeping bag to find her standing at the tent flap, staring out into the dark. Her little voice trembled as she said, "Mummy's outside." But Mum was in the tent, right next to me. Dad bolted up and unzipped the tent, shining his flashlight into the trees. "Hello?" he called. His voice was firm, but I could hear the fear behind it. Something answered. At first, it sounded like Mom. It called his name, soft and sweet, just like she would. But it came from deeper in the woods, far beyond where anyone could have walked so quickly. Then it called my name. "Lucy." It was wrong, though, stretched out and distorted, like someone trying to mimic her voice but failing. Dad stepped out, telling us to stay inside. Mom tried to stop him, but he wouldn't listen. He disappeared into the trees, and we waited. I'll never forget the silence that followed. Not even the crickets chirped. Minutes passed. Then we heard Dad scream. Mum grabbed Max and Clara, pulling them close, her breath shaky as she whispered, "Stay here." She grabbed the flashlight and ran after him. She never came back. We waited all night, huddled together in that tent, too afraid to make a sound. At some point, the thing came back. It walked around the tent again, slow and deliberate. But this time it spoke. "Lucy, Max, Clara." It said our names, each one in a different voice. Dad's, then Mum's, then something guttural and alien, a voice that didn't belong to this world. I don't remember falling asleep, but when the sun rose, the thing was gone. I grabbed Max and Clara, and we ran. We left everything behind, our tent, our food, even our shoes. We didn't stop until we reached a ranger station miles away. The search teams never found my parents. The rangers said it was probably a bear, but I know better. Something else was out there, something that wears faces and calls your name. I don't go camping anymore, and I never, ever look into the woods at night.